Hello everyone, I'm Forrest McFreelava, and this is Ethics of Victoria 2, number 8C. So, you may not have expected this. If you did, then thank you for watching our earlier episode, number 8A, where I discussed that we would be coming back to this. So here's the big deal with our plans right now. So obviously the CSA of Good was previously annexed by the United States of America, in what was a very sad sort of event. Now, there was really no getting around that, obviously, but we just started off back at the beginning of the last episode. The reason for doing so really just comes from my thought that we didn't fail because the situation was unwinnable, we failed because of some sort of inadequacy on my own part to play as the CSA of Good and defend ourselves. So we're going to change that. We're going to do better. We're going to prove that goodness can triumph. It's just resting upon the personal responsibility of the individual in the moment. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our 13 ships. We're going to sail them over to Southampton. The British, if they do anything like last time, are going to lose their home islands, so we have to just stop them from losing their home islands. Now, I was thinking for a bit about what we were going to do to win in, well, just our home country. Since we didn't do very well last time. We're still going to go try to save those troops because, you know, we can, and if we can save our own people, then we really should. And what we're going to do is, unfortunately, it looks like our boats are going to be intercepted, which is not good at all. Hopefully they'll be able to escape, though, and, you know, make it over to the United Kingdom. Alright, so we're going to defend right there. The big plan for how we're going to win this war is basically reliant on, and this is a little fun, a zombie mod for Victoria 2. Which may sound a little odd, and, you know, I guess it is. But the zombie mod for Victoria 2 teaches you, in a subtle sort of way, a trick to beating the AI generally. Now, it isn't so terribly apparent that it's doing that, but it kind of is. And I'll go more into that in a little bit. But essentially, the idea is, in the zombie mod, you face massive stacks of enemy armies that you simply cannot withstand on your own. Also, we should just be taxing everybody as much as we can while we still have access to the rest of our country, funding our navy. And I'm not going to tariff everybody just to the ends of the earth just yet, but we should do that eventually. We're going to try to flee with our navy and try to get it out at some other point. We might get our transports out, that's good enough. We just need really any number of ships at all to prevent the French from crossing into the United Kingdom, which they're already doing. But hopefully the UK can defeat that one stack of French soldiers, otherwise, you know, all hope's already lost. But anyway, so in the zombie mod, you learn something about the AI in this game, and it is that once you get a certain number of troops, or your army is, you know, considerably strong enough compared to the enemy armies coming after you, the AI will just not attack. So what we need to do is build our armies up so powerfully that the AI sees their opportunity to attack us and thinks better of it. That's basically it. That's the whole plan right there. Is just defend a section of our Confederacy so thoroughly that the AI can't attack us. What we'll do then is probably open up these mountain passes so that the enemies can come in and attack us there. They'll think that they can win, but we'll have reserves behind them, and we'll keep shuffling in and out our reserves. The big test to that will be here in Roanoke, where we're just going to be doing that as often as possible to not die. Meanwhile, we have the big other issue of just making sure we don't die leading up to that, and you'll see that they didn't attack this 84 stack, which you might think makes a lot of sense, and I would agree with that. Alright, and we'll pull the rest of our forces back and just try to organize as best we can. The big thing is going to be making sure that they don't feel comfortable attacking us in the plains or in the forests. As long as they only attack our armies in the mountains, we will get the best defensive bonus we can get. And, you know, that's gonna have to be good enough. So, let's see. We can move these units somewhere else. We'll just move this 40-something stack over here. And let's see. We'll move this group over, and we'll try to defend Montgomery and Mobile. And we're still going to pass all the most popular reforms because we are still the good Confederacy. No one can take that away from us. Even if we're not going to actually be able to fund any of these social programs in about a month or two as the, you know, country collapses. But, you know, we'll play it by ear as best we can. Alright, so it looks like that 84 stack is sufficient for that front. We will need more forces because we already know that a 30 stack was not enough to prevent the US from attacking us. We will still, however, focus primarily on just getting more troops into the areas that would be just impossible to defend if it came down to it in the current moment. We're really going to take a lot of attrition just running people through that mountain pass in Atlanta. And that's not optimal at all. That's fairly obvious that it isn't. But it's the situation that we've inherited, and there's not much we can do about it. Although it is good that we are getting so many of these troops. And we're just going to run these guys over here. We are losing some forces. At this point, we should probably just start tariffing everybody. We'll try to keep our budget, you know, out of a terrible deficit for a while. And hopefully 84 is going to be a good enough number of troops and things. It looks like we have a pretty big army right there. So this is actually working out fairly well. We'll have over 100,000 troops over here. That's good because we won't be able to support them. What happened to our navy? Hasn't quite made it to the UK, but it looks like they're going to defend themselves, and that's good enough. Alright, so that 100 stack will be good enough. We'll try to split these units into two separate groups. That way, if they do get attacked, they'll be able to split off into two sub-units. They should still be able to get all the way up to a pretty good amount of dig-in capability. Let's see, 3 out of 4 dig-in. That's good. I believe it takes both units in the province to get it up to 100% dig-in. But yeah, so as this war goes on, we will really just deal with the situation as it comes to us. Hopefully we have enough troops over here in Atlanta that the enemy won't directly attack us, and now we'll just start fighting them in Roanoke. And we'll also probably pile up a decent amount of forces in Asheville, just until we're fairly confident that we can pull this off. So I'll actually run this group around the side. That group will meet up not in Charlotte because let's not take any more attrition than we need to, and we'll just see how many extra infantry groups we end up with before this is over. That 12 stack will just go and join the forces in Asheville. And if this works, if I'm right about it, and it is functionally similar to the zombie mod, then what will occur is that the American AI will just realize it can't attack us successfully. They'll give up. And yeah, we'll just do that whole mountain pass plan. And if this does prove to work, then, you know, whenever you find yourself in a similar position in this game, you know, you'll have a solution. So that's pretty cool. What would be very interesting is playing as a country, well, maybe not as Serbia, but something with a really high population and low territorial density. Maybe something like the Heavenly Kingdom. You could probably defend yourself as the Heavenly Kingdom using this strategy, if it proves successful. Which, you know, still remains to be seen. Alright, and yeah, definitely all of the rest of our country is basically just forfeit. There's really nothing we can do about that. It's a pretty big pity, but, you know, you make do with what you can, really. On the bright side, though, we actually have a decent amount of our country still under our own control, which really isn't something that we could have taken for granted. I mean, I suppose, you know, we could have taken it for granted, but it wouldn't have been intelligent for us to do so. The next thing that we need to do, and this is probably a significant thing, is I'm tempted to turn off auto-assign for our leaders. What that would allow us to do is select our generals basically whenever we like for whatever we need to. And that would mainly be to just put better defense generals in key areas. And right now I'm not entirely sure if we have enough forces that they'll stop attacking us. If we do, then that's good enough. What's the war at? -8, so if it stays at this rate, then we can actually probably just survive without even, you know, doing that massive, horrible, you know, vaguely genocidal thing, where we just fight the American armies in the mountains until they all die. And, you know, because we are still the Confederacy of Good, if we can finish this war without doing a massive, more or less genocidal military campaign, obviously then that's the way for us to do this. We don't want to be more violent than we absolutely must in order to maintain our national sovereignty. Otherwise, what's the point? We're proving ourselves as bad as them if we sink to their level without, you know, adequate cause, I suppose. So what we'll do is we'll try to go take back Richmond. Oh, are they coming to attack us? They are. Can we convince them not to? Not quickly enough. Alright. Well, guess we're hopping back into it. Turns out a 60 stack of defenders is not actually good enough. We are a great power, despite the fact that a good portion of our country is under occupation, but I suppose not so much. The Americans still do not have that, you know, end of all things gas attack, which is good. We are getting fairly close to getting it on our own, but we aren't reliant upon having gas attack and defensing against gas attack. The British are making their attacks against the French. It actually looks like it's going fairly competently, but I believe it did so as well this time in the last campaign. So what we're going to do as well is we're going to split this navy up into equal parts and just kind of keep it in these British ports, and we'll just have to remember to keep cycling out our units so they don't all die. And if they do die, here's what we should do. Not ledger. Message settings. Attrition. Let's see if there's any messages for that. Okay, whenever any of our ships sink due to attrition, we'll have it pop up and pause the game. That way, if we do just, you know, lose active sight of this situation because we're so busy distracted in, you know, defending our country, if that case does occur, we still won't lose the British in the worst case. And we can do that 4 times, probably hating myself a little bit more each time, but not damning the country. And, you know, that's good enough, man. We may stop being a great power, which is not entirely shocking. Other than that, we're doing decently well. We'll speed the game up a little bit. Labor unions are doing some stuff. We'll let people become more into that, since the alternative was basically beating up innocent people, and I'm not for that, obviously. Hopefully they don't lose London. That would be a huge bummer. And we're going to go ahead and just split these navies up a little bit. We don't really need to move them now. We can probably make it a few months before doing that, but I'm looking at it so much that we may as well just switch them up before it really matters too much. Restoration of order to the Confederate. Well, alright then. Now, hopefully they'll just keep bringing extra forces into this battle, although it doesn't actually look like they are. It looks like they just gave up and recognized the fact. So yeah, we're going to go push over and try to take back our capital. It doesn't seem like there's any real thing that will stop that from occurring. Maybe we want to put a few more troops there. So we'll just do that as they come into existence, coming to being, I suppose. But I do think Roanoke, yeah, they are trying to move more forces there no matter what. Oh my god, I never switched it to military directionism. Alright, well, that technology is not probably going to be as important as gas defense. But we're getting gas defense now, and it turns out I was actually spread too thin. So yeah, we may have fumbled this a little bit, but that shouldn't be too terrible. Hopefully they don't have gas attack. They still don't appear to have gas attack. As soon as we get the option, we are dipping out of this battle, and we're just going to focus on the primary fight. Alright, we'll pull back. Doing okay. Nah, let's not leave 75,000 troops since that's probably too low. Alright. Meanwhile, the UK is still defeating that French army. That's good enough. I do kind of want to go check out the world, so we'll take a big old loan. And we'll tariff our people at 100%. It's still not enough to not be in a horrible deficit. But what are you going to do? Alright, and we'll just swap these units out when it becomes important enough. So it doesn't really seem too feasible. I mean, apparently we don't need 105,000 men there, but I'll not move forces out of there. We can build one unit of irregulars, so we'll just build an artillery. Just the one unit we're able to actually construct, given the current circumstances facing the nation. Let's see. Social spending will cut. Education will leave. Well, no, whatever. It isn't that expensive compared to the war effort. And the people do need to eat. Especially now since a lot of them have lost their jobs. Okay, let's see. This force will get there on September 29th. That's good enough. We'll pull... Really, we'll just pull both of these dudes back and then just group them up together, since they have pretty low organization, and that's not ideal. That guy was a +2 defense general, and I don't believe we have any other plus defense generals. At least not in the area. Plus attack, attack and defense. A little plus defense. This guy has a really good plus defense though, so we will actually swap him out at some point. Probably just right now. Although I guess it is a little redundant to swap out a good defense general for a good defense general. So what we'll do is we will stop auto-assigning our leaders. And we'll just kind of see. We'll play it by ear a little. Move these boats back. Move these boats forth. That's not great. Where's the British Navy? What are they doing? They're just chilling right there letting that fleet die. Oh wait, did my navy... Oh, it must have been sank by the French. Well, whatever. We'll hold out right there. You know, let's actually make that a pop-up, though. Because that was kind of awful. Oh, what is this? Okay, so the United States has just gotten rid of their slaves. Good work, guys. Little late, man. But, you know, I guess if you're a slave, better late than never. Alright, +2 attack isn't really the most relevant thing right now. So we'll pull this dude back, rush these guys forward, at the end of the month. Alright. Switch this guy out for our great plus defense general, unless he ended up being put in charge of another army. And he didn't, so that's good. Oscar Wilde, or Oscar Wise. Alright, and we'll rush him back in as soon as we get the opportunity. However, right now we're doing fine as far as these things go. The British are still alive, and that's pretty cool. What's the war score looking like? It's starting to go into the Americans' favor, so it really does seem like we may want to start doing that thing where we just try to tempt their armies into attacking us, although we really don't have very many forces left to spare. And I guess this is working out decently well. I am very worried they're going to just get gas attack fairly soon, and I don't think that's an unreasonable fear. Alright, we'll pull this group out, move this run in, and we'll actually wait till the end of the month since it will let them get a little bit more. Alright, there we go. +3 defense. We're actually doing very well in this battle. Alright, so the Americans have 452 brigades, which is 1.5 million people, sans about 150,000. So that's still 1.35 million soldiers, and they seem to be really just not lacking them. So I suppose that's to be anticipated. We are getting defensing and gas attack, finally. It will still take a little bit. I'm going to try to stop saying so much. Right, though. There I go, I said it immediately. Well, there's not really all that much going on. Other than the fact that this is very critical for our country, it's really just sort of a thing. I mean, just sort of a thing isn't very, I guess, sensible. It just is, for what it is surprisingly inert, let's say. And realistically, we may have enough troops that we could fight 2 battles simultaneously. The reason I don't want to do that yet is because if we start to do that, and the Americans get gas attack before we get gas defense, then all that will happen is we will find ourselves spread remarkably thin, almost certainly indefensibly thin, and they'll just have 2 battles in which to defeat us. At the moment, we have this one group, which is actually a fairly considerable amount of forces. Let's try to bring these guys back, and hopefully we'll do it quick enough. Oh, cool, and it did count. Yeah, right now we have 1 army, you know, outside of the battle. However, the armies that we do have inside the battle are doing well enough that it doesn't really matter too much. We could conceivably pull one of these armies out and shuffle it between 2 different battles as those battles turn against us. And it looks as though fairly soon this is actually turning fairly well in our favor. This +3 defense general is really doing amazing things. Let's just get rid of the battle plan, since, you know, ironically we did kind of stick almost exactly to it in the end. A little bit less up here in the north, a little bit more down here in the south. Although really, for as much of a cultural focal point as the capital of our nation actually is, it isn't the most relevant to our defense in this current moment. We will stop funding social programs and probably cut off administration to a great degree, at least down to 50%. The children are still our future, man, so we're not going to cut that. Navy is pretty important so we don't lose. And yeah, we'll just kind of roll with it. That did cut expenses somewhat, not really as much as I would have liked. Oh wow, and yeah, that actually really hurt our people, so let's not worry about that too much. In fact, we should probably just keep it up. We'll take a big fat loan, and that'll just kind of tell us how long we can go, at least for a little bit. Looks like we can actually take a lot of loans. So what we'll do is we'll repay the loan that we just took, and then we'll just keep taking more, that way the interest doesn't stack until it needs to. And we'll just become a debtor country, but that's okay. Better a debtor country than a dead country. It's almost a pun, but not really. And it's more than almost a pun, it is actually the true statement of what we're doing right now. It looks like the British are making moderate gains against the French, and the French are actually blocking them off with significant enough numbers that they're probably not going to suicide the rest of their army over unless they, for whatever reason, decide that they may be able to. Swap those boats out. And yeah, we'll just hope really hard that we get defense against gas attack before they get gas attack, and inadvertently we'll also maybe then get gas attack before they get gas attack. So let's see. 5% chance because we are at war with any country that has gas attack. The word gas attack is starting to really not mean anything to me right now. And we have a 4% chance to develop it ourselves. So every single month we have a 1% chance of things going very well for us. A 4%... Oh wait, no. Yeah, I guess. A 1% chance... No, that's just dumb. Essentially, we have a 4% chance every month that they'll get a gas attack, and it'll really mess us up. One of our leaders died, which is unfortunate to the extreme. We'll pull this dude back and give him a new general, moving this force up to take their spot. And they are getting a lot of experience, so that is good. Let's find the best defense general we can find. You know, it's actually amazing how much better we're doing this time around. So, you know, yeah. If anything, that says don't give up, man. Don't look at the world and say the world is evil. Just to bring this back to this whole, you know, morality of goodness sort of thing. It was very easy to say that it was the world at fault and that we couldn't have done anything, but now that we actually are trying to do something about it, it's going fairly well. So we don't really have any great defense generals. We have one dude, well, we have two. We have two with a plus defense bonus. One is an artillerist and a shrinking violet. I'm not even sure what that means, but I guess he just sucks. The other is unmanly and hated. So we'll go with the shrinking violet artillerist, since he's not so awfully detrimental to our country. And now every single month as it ticks over, we'll have a 5% chance of getting defense against the gas attack the Americans don't currently have. A 4% chance of, you know, getting defense against, no, of getting gas attack itself. And then I suppose just a something like 91% chance of absolutely nothing happening. The big worry is that if their 4% chance occurs before our 5% does, which is somewhat unlikely. However, you know, anything could happen, and they probably had the capability of getting gas attack this whole time, since I do believe they got it fairly rapidly in the last one. The British are still alive, and it looks like they're just chilling there, not trying to die, which is really all I ask of them. We are slightly negative in the Great War, though, and it looks like the French are attacking us. I thought I said this would be a pop-up. It should be... Oh, it's only other, not interesting. Why did I mess that up? Alright, British, why aren't you helping us? That's the big question. Try to win this fight. Speaking of trying to win a fight, we may still need to go and rush the, actually defeating the American army sort of deal before they can just kill us. As it does seem like they may just kill us. This group will have fall back, and you know, we'll just replace them with this group at the moment. We did win that battle at sea, so you know, good for us. I guess the ship still died though. Not entirely sure what happened to it. Swap out these dudes though. Alright, so our army's doing fine. It's always good news. We'll probably pull back this group as well, and actually we'll leave them there, just because there's more Americans piling in. This is a really weak army. We're very lucky that they aren't pressing it. And at this rate, we may as well just speed things up a little. Pull this dude back. Oh, they are bringing in more troops. Slightly unfavorable for us, although it should change. And I really hope the British will just have the resolve not to surrender. Let's take a look at the rest of the world. So they're winning in Africa. Decently well. Well, yeah, fairly strongly. Fairly universally, let's say, in Africa, although not entirely. And they're not winning whatsoever on the continent. We're really the only force there, and we're not doing too hot, although we are still in existence, and that's better than previously. We only made it 30 minutes in. I'm not sure the exact date of our destruction last time round. And look at that, we are getting more military techs that should be helping us immensely. Oh, cool, defensing against gas attack. Well, there we go, now we can risk it. So what we'll do, this guy's +2 defense, so we'll pull this army back. And we'll try to just hope that the Americans come, that they're taunted into this attack. And look, they're already here. Let's quarantine Oklahoma. which is a little presumptuous of us to say that we can even do at this point. Alright, and now with this battle, we don't even need to intervene for a little while, since we have such an amazing defensive bonus. Did I put this back up? I did. Alright, so look at that. We're winning these pretty decently on a day-by-day sort of scale. That's actually really amazing for us. Wow, we might just win that. We might just obliterate that army. It looks like we will. Yeah, they're just gonna... Yeah, they're dead. They're entirely dead. Wow. And we're back to full digging. Wow. Oh my god. This is just ridiculously powerful. Alright, well. Wow. That's actually amazing. I didn't think it would go nearly that well. Oh, wow. Okay, so, with that in mind now, first things first, England, you still aren't allowed to die. Basically, never will you ever be allowed to die. Our battle war score is now doing slightly better. Their war demands are so atrocious that nothing's going to happen. I wonder if we could make peace. No, they have amazing war score against us because most of our country is occupied. That makes, you know, a good amount of sense, man. Alright, we'll split these armies into two groups. Let's see, this one doesn't have a leader, but it has full dig-in. Probably should have gone for the tech that gives us more dig-in, but what are you going to do? Wish we had more plus defense generals. Would be pretty cool right now. Robert Stewart's the best one we have so far. He really doesn't have any character at all. And that's fine. Or... Gildion Pemberton? He's skilled, but he's old school, and that's actually attack, so no. Alright, yeah. Robert Stewart, congratulations. You're a balanced butcher. Well, I suppose at this point in the game we are looking for a butcher. Just make it a clean cut and hope they don't suffer too much. Oh, and look, an American army's coming. We've more or less tempted them. Alright, prove you're worth your medal, and you don't really seem to be already. Did I accidentally move the one that did have the dig-in bonus? It would very much appear to be the case that I did. So we'll just bring in these troops, hopefully do well enough. Won the Battle of Ashenville, just completely destroying that army again. Let's see. They'll get there on the 31st, so that's good enough. We'll cycle these guys out. And now we just really need to win this battle before they reinforce their forces. This army... Wow, we're actually doing really poorly. Worryingly poorly. We'll bring these guys over. Let's find that Nile. Alright, so these guys do have their dig-in bonus. That should be good enough. Not too pleased with the way that this army was just really heavily destroyed. They did poorly. And we're still doing fairly poorly. We don't really have a defense bonus, although we are doing okay. They are slightly lower than us just due to the terrain. They're doing slightly worse than us due to the terrain. So we may have been overly ambitious. That's something I'm more than willing to accept criticism for. It looks like Roanoke is going to be a victory, though, and that's good enough. I wonder if they're going to evacuate out of it, or if they're just going to let their army die as they have in the other battles. Oh, and look, they did reinforce. So we're only at -3 due to dig-in, or they're only at -3 due to our dig-in. So we'll just let these guys reinforce for the next month. It looks like they aren't going to reinforce Roanoke anymore, and that's more than suitable. Let's take a loan. Looks like we still have a large pool of resources to take loans out of. And the war is actually going more or less into our favor now. Somewhat. Not so much. Hopefully enough. Once we win this Battle of Roanoke, hopefully they don't retreat out of it, which I'm really worried that they will. And there's not very much we can do if they do. Bolt-action rifle armament, that's good. Bolster our infantry. Oh, cool. Wow, that one battle alone. And look at that, we discovered the source of the Nile. Go us. Alright, but yeah, 500,000, 660,000 American soldiers dead, 60,000 of our own. That's the kind of victory that ends an empire. Or creates one, I suppose, depending on your point of view. And you guys know fully well which one's ours. That's pretty cool. Alright, so, what do we do now? Oh, wow, immediately they're losing. Oh, we can't take any more loans, which means it's time to stop funding almost everything that we can get away with, which is everything except the army, which apparently still takes the vast majority of the money we have. So, guess we're giving up on expeditions, and let's hope that we can win enough battles before our army collapses. We'll just charge forth into Knoxville. Let's get the best attack general we can, or maybe the best speed general. If we have a better speed general, then we'll just beat them there, and it won't matter what our attack is. Looks like attack +2 is really the best we can get. I'm now really just looking for speed. Speed plus attack would be the best. Plus 20% speed minus to defense, though. I thought there was one better earlier. Speed +5. Let's find this pretty quickly. 10%, that's not really anything. I thought there was one better. I could have sworn. Evidently, I did well not to. Oh, speed +20, but minus defense. It's the same guy. Well, whatever. We'll hope it's good enough. May 24th. May 22nd. Let's actually... Nah, it won't be good enough. Alright, we'll focus on attack instead. Attack +2 is probably good enough. Alright, we'll try to just obliterate that force. I'm worried they're going to try to rush behind us, but it looks like they're being fairly calm at the moment. What we will do is we'll retreat this group over. Just kind of hold the line. We did win, but we didn't destroy their force. That's not really a victory, but we'll just fall back. We're doing well enough. We'll pull back these troops. We should have a pretty hefty dig-in bonus, and we do. So that's going very well, actually. How many regiments do they have? 277. So we brought them down considerably. Is it regiments? It's brigades. I always get that wrong. Still, that's something like 900,000 men. So we still did a lot of damage to them. That's really just a very true statement. And, yeah. Guess we'll just keep going. Let's look at our boats. Boats are doing okay. Kind of dying. We're not getting any new admirals for our navy, but that's okay. We don't really need them. The British have just so many troops right there. Wow. And they're just doing nothing with them. That's good, though. If they went and lost them all, then that would be no good and no help at all to anybody. So better that they just kind of stay there and not die than go out and actually die. What do our people want? They want good safety, but they really, really seem to want to have better pensions. So we'll go give them some good pensions. Oh my god, we lived! Look at that. That's amazing. Cool. Oh man, I'm really happy about that. Whew. All right, let's go ahead and demobilize. We'll bring our boats back, what's left of them. Cool. The Americans don't seem to like us very much. We'll increase relations with them. We'll be magnanimous in victory. Let's go ahead and fund our administration, our social programs, military funding, I guess, but not really anything for the soldiers directly. Let's basically declare a huge tax holiday to most of our people, because God knows they need it. Tax holiday all around. Oh, and look at that, we actually did manage to get all of that. Oh, no, wait, we are just tariffing everybody to death. Drop the tariffs, and we will actually go back to taxing people outright. Oh, man. Wow, we are spending a ton of money. Alright, we really need to let our people recover. We are spending a ton in interest on all of our debts. Well, come on guys, let's get money to pay off our debts. How much in debt are we? Over 1 million. Okay. Well, this will take a while. Alright, well, we'll tax our people at a fairly high rate and use that to pay off the debt money. We'll drop military spending to about 53%. We will turn back on automatic auto-assigning of generals. And we'll not really worry about our military for a little bit. The British, by the way, amazing ally. And look at that, we got gas attack, but we didn't actually have to use it in combat. So we managed to preserve, I suppose, our souls a little bit in that endeavor. We're not a great power anymore. Those times are gone. Tons of people are, you know, out of work. So we may actually want to stop taxing our wealthiest people. For the moment, though, we'll just focus on repaying our loans. It would probably be very helpful for us in the long term if we taxed our rich a little less, so we will do that. We'll actually tax them less now. We'll go for something of an equivalent sort of tax, where everyone will just be going at 30%. Not because it's really equitable or anything. Just because, you know, at this point in our country, the most important thing is that we repay our loans, repay our foreign obligations. I'll just kind of gun it ahead in time. We don't really need to get any more military techs, and we'll just go back to abhorring that sort of thing. Get market determined exchange rates because, well, actually we don't really want hyperinflation at all. We'll get all of those instead. Do we have any decisions we can do? Hopefully some that'll lower our interest rates. Yes, we do. Alright, -2 for loan interest will probably help us immensely. Maybe it was something that we needed to do before we took the loans. That's possible. Oh well. And we'll just be making payments for a while. We'll take a small loan to join the International Olympic Committee. As you know, our people at least need that. I kind of am tempted to tax our people at a higher rate so we can pay off our loans quicker, and oh, communists. That's a bummer. Oh, we'll fight them. We aren't doing our people any favors by not fighting the communists, although it is sad. Looks like we will be able to prevent them from taking over any of our provinces. Oh no, they'll take over part of Oklahoma. Alright, well, yeah, so that's a bummer. Let's see, when does this truce end? 1914. Alright, so we should actually tax our people more because the really most responsible thing we could do is get out of debt before the next war is likely to start. And we will actually tariff our people a little bit. We'll just tariff them at not 100% obviously, but tariff them at 10% or so. Stop funding the army. Because we really need to repay these loans. When the time comes, that'll be the most important thing. And there are elections, so hopefully our people will stop being, you know, so tremendously upset. Should we fund our administration? It'll probably help with tax rates. Maybe. Seems to be doing okay. Now we only owe taxes to ourselves. However, an interesting thing about this game is that it doesn't actually do much. Looks like Austria took back Croatia. Alright, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so interest doesn't actually go and pay into the rich. It actually just disappears from the game, which is kind of interesting. When I first started playing, I actually took on as much national debt as I could because I thought it was a way of paying negative taxes to the rich. And I thought that doing so would basically give them... well, we really do need to hope for an end of this revolutionary prattle. Come on, guys, we all need to be together on this right now. We can't be attacking the rich. Especially when there's, you know, the American Empire just to the north of us. Be more moralistic. Alright, so commerce. We can get ourselves some secret police and things, although I don't really see any reason to do so. We will get behaviorism, though. What do the people want? Acceptable safety. So you shall have it. Alright, yeah, so, yeah, doing alright. Pay off these loans. War is still a fundamental evil. We're never going to change our minds from that. Wow, we may become a socialist or communist country very soon. Oh, we did. We're socialists now. Okay, well that makes sense. I mean, everyone's out of work, and the capitalists, God no, are just not doing anything about it. So we're going to just take as much loans as we can. I know this is a massive reversal of our previous policy. We're going to open all our factories, and we're going to subsidize them for a moment. And then we're going to expand upon them. Because no one wants to be out of work if they have an option. And, oh man, so this is really putting us in a position where the best thing to do would be to really just design the economy in a way that would be, you know, I guess more successful, for lack of a better word. We can tax our people pretty high rates at this point, which is okay. And we have to buy a whole bunch of market goods, which we aren't currently capable of purchasing, in order to get all of our factories up and running. Yeah, we're going to have to do a lot to engineer our economy. I might just make this a short episode, and... okay, so I'm considering just... Okay, let's just straight up. I am not right now in a position to make a good enough decisions, or a good enough set of decisions about our economy to really get them to function as properly as we need them to. We can just go ahead and tax our rich at a slightly higher rate than the rest of our populace at this point, since, quite frankly, well, okay, since the aristocrats are going to be an odd duck in this instance, but our capitalists aren't really going to be providing much of a social function if we're just building the factories ourselves and, you know, worrying about all of that ourselves. So, yeah, I'll probably call this a short episode. We've survived. When I come back, I might do a little bit of recording. I might just speed up a portion where we kind of just catch ourselves up. What we'll do is I'll probably take a big loan and then just use that to build all the various factories in our various states. So I will actually record that. An important thing to consider really is going to be what our various states can produce, and then just building around that. And I'll actually just start, since that's what we're going to be doing anyway for a while. So we may as well actually just get that out of the way right now. So, who needs it the most, I guess, is the big question. Tennessee has by far the most people unemployed right now, and it's making cars and gas. So we will still take some loans. Loans are really going to be the big thing for us right now. Thank you, international community, for supporting this, you know, random socialist regime. What does Tennessee produce? Coal, which can go into basically anything. Wheat, which can go into booze, or grain, which can go into booze, and cotton, which can go into probably fabrics and stuff. So what do we want to build for them? Well, really, glass is a good basic good, and we could probably make decent money building a glass factory, so we'll build that at least. Really, anything that just takes from our, well, the things that we domestically produce. We could probably build a fabric factory, but I don't believe we have dye. We could build a dye factory, and that requires coal, so that actually works very well. So we'll build a coal factory. Or not a coal factory. That's something our aristocrats would work on. Now we'll build fabric. So that actually uses up our resources fairly well. Pretty much all of them. Except for the liquor factory we could build. Although I think other things do require grain. What would require grain? Okay, so a liquor factory definitely does. A canned food factory does as well. We wouldn't make as much money off of it, although I would feel perhaps a bit morally better about not producing liquor. So we will actually do that. And, you know, I'm not saying in the real world that, hey, liquor's bad or anything, although obviously it is. You know, but it's not so bad that we won't drink it. As bad of a reason as that is. Let's see. Our top 3 imported goods do include, well, liquor for one, so maybe, you know, maybe we should just build it, since I guess better domestic liquor than foreign liquor, since at least then we can regulate the production, I suppose. That may be a stretch. We're not actually going to do that. That's too much of me just justifying what I want to do. We will build a regular clothes factory, since it will, you know, use that. And so that'll all chain together and do fairly well for us. We do need a steel factory and some oil and stuff, though that isn't really anything we can build there. An electric gear factory might be a good call just to help with that. Although we should probably save that for other states that, you know, can produce more of the goods coming into it. Luxury clothes require some of this crazy stuff that we don't probably have. I imagine that's silk, and there's no way we produce silk at all. We will build a canned food factory instead then. Texas is the next major state. They have a bunch of oil, so definitely a gas thing, and they have some sulfur, so another thing with that. So let's see, what do they actually already have in Texas? Phones and paper. Well, we'll get a fuel refinery. Chuck that on top. Automobiles might be good. They do use fuel. Although it doesn't actually look as though they use fuel to produce, which I suppose does make some sense. What was the other thing though? Cattle, so they can make canned foods, and then sulfur, which is probably fertilizer and explosives. I don't know if they actually do build fertilizer in this. Oh, ammunition requires sulfur. So we'll build that. We do need to, you know, we have the right to self-defense and all that. Oh, and yes, there's a fertilizer factory, so we'll build that guy as well. And we should also build some more canned food factories, since we do have all the cattle for it. Well, if we're building ammunition and fertilizer, an explosives factory uses both of those. And what about artillery? Artillery uses steel, which we don't really have. Alright, so that's all doing well. And yeah, this is really going to be the rest of the episode, so I don't really blame anyone if you decide to calm it down with this. But it'll actually be very interesting, I think, to see what becomes of this. Oh, great, we do have coal and wool, or coal and cotton. So we'll do the same thing here in Georgia as we did everywhere else. And we're really just going to be a bunch of... what is it? I guess just fabric makers. We're going to have a humongous thriving dye and textile industry. So let's embrace it. So yeah, fabric, dye, fabric. And then what else? Probably regular clothes, since that's just an obvious next. And that's really all that they can make super efficiently. We might go crazy with it and build a luxury clothes factory, although I don't really predict that that'll turn a profit ever. So we might just have to upgrade that from time to time. Although that will get a lot of people off the streets, so to speak. Arkansas is the next one up. Where is Arkansas? It's over here. I'm an American, I should know this. I guess I'm gonna learn American geography by doing this. Alright, so it looks like we can build a lumber mill, and that should open up a few other things. Oh, paper mill. That's always good. And a lumber mill. Now what requires either lumber or paper? Probably a few things, at least for lumber. I assume chairs for one. Not luxury chairs, but just regular chairs. Oh yeah, and they require both of those, so that's good. That'll employ some people. What factory do we already have? Ammunition. It's still making money, although it doesn't really seem like it should in any real way. That's good enough, man. So yeah, a factory doesn't need to have the raw resources available in state to be efficient, although it does help. And we do have some grain, so we could just build some canned food factory, and that'll be good. We might build some advanced industry on top of all of this, although we'll leave that to be exploited later, I suppose. Virginia's doing alright. All these factories are pretty low tier at the moment. Ooh, I'm tempted to cancel the liquor distillery, but we do want people to have jobs. Virginia could be our center of high-tech industry. That could be interesting, in which case we would want to clear out the clipper, transport, and the liquor. So let's see. Virginia, of course, is this one. They're building a lot of tobacco and grain. So yeah, they don't have anything really other than we could build a canned food factory or the liquor area. We're just going to not do that, and we'll kind of make it the place that just builds our most high-tech equipment. So we do have an electric gear factory, that's very good. So yeah, what do we need? Automobiles require machine parts, electric gear, steel, and rubber. Well, we'll build a machine parts factory. We already have an electric gear. Telephones might be good, they definitely can use all the things we're already building. Airplane factory will also do well off of all of that. I don't believe we have the tech to make tank factories yet, although we should probably make a tank factory and make it there as well. Telephones only really help with advanced naval units, and we're not really in a position yet to make or utilize those. Small arms factory, artillery, we don't really need any of these things. I guess we'll build a telephone factory for now, and then we'll build a tank factory as the final one later. And you know what, I'm okay with taking this a little bit long, just so that we get this part of the thing, this game, kind of taken care of and squared away. Taken care of. Yeah, so we'll get all that sorted. Other than that, explosives, things like that. Wait, what does an explosives factory need? It would have needed ammunition and fertilizer. Ammunition does need sulfur though, so we'll build that. And then we do still have a little bit of fabric, but no, or cotton, but no coal, so we can't really justify building a clothes industry or a textile industry. I'm tempted to ban liquor, but I know it won't actually get our people to stop importing liquor. Although it would be cool if it did. Although we are not playing in the world of would be cool, so much as the world of actually happens. And it looks like we actually do have some high-tech industry over here, what with the machine parts and the automobile. So we will go ahead and build an electric gear factory there as well as, I guess not airplanes because we can't afford it, so we're just going to take a loan. Pretty hefty loan. Probably going to have to take another before this is up. Get some aeroplanes as well. Let's see, Alabama, and we're finally starting to get to states that don't have so outrageously many people unemployed. So Mississippi actually is the next one up. And once again, they don't really produce very much. So who knows, maybe high-tech industry. It looks like they're already set up for canned foods and glass. So, yeah, who knows what we can do with these guys. I guess we could build a steel factory. That's a little ambitious since I don't know if we actually produce any of the requirements. We do actually produce a lot of iron. Where we're at, actually, I guess is a good question. Since those should produce steel. I'm actually not at all sure. Doesn't look like we actually produce it anywhere, if you ask me. Oh, look at that. We produce quite a bit, but only in Alabama. Alabama does need people, though, so we will build a steel factory there. Or they do need factories, though. They're one of the top ones. And yeah, they'll really just be the steel center of our country. I guess we'll also build some in Mississippi since it's close by, and hopefully that'll count for something. Alright, so if we're building steel factories there, then that'll help us produce things like military equipment, so small arms we'll build. We do need small arms typically. It is a very important thing for our army. Not really doing any groundbreaking stuff with that. And of course small arms need ammunition, so we may as well go that way, and they do need steel as well, or at least iron. So that makes sense, if nowhere else, then at least in Alabama. What was I looking for? Ammunition, of course. And we'll also build artillery factories. So these will be our arsenal states. And that should be enough to get everyone employed. Alright, Oklahoma. Home of a lot of grain and some oil. Oh, the oil will be very helpful. Build a fuel refinery. And we're getting a paper mill. We already have a lumber mill. So what needs some of those things? A furniture factory will do well based on the industry already there. And I suppose some canned foods. Alright, so that'll more than help with the unemployment there. Florida as well, they're building some more stuff. They really don't have any goods for domestic production of anything. And North Carolina we don't really need to worry about. Although they do have a dye factory already, and it is actually pumping out a good amount of money, and a fuel refinery. So, who knows, I guess a fabric factory would work very well. As they do have a lot of cotton. And, yeah. What else could they use? We could build a luxury clothes factory. I'm not sure the likelihood that it'll actually work. But, you know, it's probably for the best that we have some domestic production. Alright. And, that all said and done, we've basically designed our economy. We're going to have to keep touching up on it from time to time. Although I think we're in a fairly good spot. Hopefully we'll make some money off of that. We're initially going to lose a ton of money, so let's just get past that portion. Because we have to buy all the goods, and it looks like that actually just went very quickly. And yeah, now we're just building all of these dudes. Some of these apparently take 2 years to build, didn't really realize that at the time. All of our empty states are shown. We don't really have any empty states. So yeah, hopefully our industry is going to bounce up pretty well, pretty quickly. Let's look at migrations. You know, not many people are migrating to our country, but that makes sense since we're in a pretty terrible place with unemployment. Although we'll hopefully get better with that in time. And once we pay our loans back off, we'll try to worry about getting our army back in place. That's probably what we're going to do next episode, is just rebuild our army so we don't just die outright. And yeah, we'll see where we end up. Thank you very much for watching. I'm glad we were able to pull this off this time around. We're probably not going to go back to the Pragmatic America right away, since they're at something like 1921 or 1923 or something like that. They're actually a pretty decent clip ahead of everyone else. At this point, I don't know. We'll just see how it goes. We'll play it by ear. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day. Tell your friends if you're interested in this. Tell me if you're interested in this. It helps. Have a good one.